Good evening, Broncos country, and welcome into a special solo edition of the Mile High Huddle podcast. I am Zack Kelberman, one half of your football priest, flying solo today, as you can see, with Chad and Scott at the Senior Bowl. I'm going to connect Facebook. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it connects. Give it a few seconds. Let those green check marks pop up. Hopefully it works for me. I see one. Spinning wheel, I see two. We have all 5 check marks, so welcome in to another edition of the Mile High Huddle podcast. Like I just said, Chad and Scott are in Mobile, Alabama, covering the Senior Bowl, so it's just me this evening. So I apologize in advance if I don't get to every single stars comment. I'll get to all the supers and everything, but if I miss someone, forgive me tonight because it's just me, but we're going to have a fun show. We're going to talk about the latest drama in Broncos country, and that's involving quarterback Bo Nix and Broncos head coach Sean Payton, and it's stemming over Bo Nix's recent ankle operation to repair the fractured bone in his ankle, and there was some drama that's come along with that. So I'm going to give it a second to let the room file in, as I do on my solo editions of KK. Not too much, not too big of a deal. I see a big super from Deanna. Thank you so much, Deanna. I'll get to you in 1 second. Okay. What's going on, Capo? What's going on, guys? Emblex, Sam Bam, Unique Prepping, David Yunkin. I said Deanna already. Thank you, Deanna. String Guy, David McElrath, Sam Bam, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Mike Thompson, Capo, Lawrence Rivera, and Real Shid. Real Shid's in here. So I appreciate every single person that's already hearing the sound of my voice. I appreciate everyone who will hear the sound of my voice. And yeah, I'll dive right into it. So this is where we stand. If anyone hasn't known about what's going on with Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you guys know Bo underwent surgery for his ankle fracture. He came out of it looking good. We heard a timeline of months, though. Put that aside for now. We heard a timeline for his return of months. According to Bo, that's not legitimate because he'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks, he said. By spring mini camps and OTAs, Bo should be back on the field, assuming, God willing, knock wood, no complications, anything like that. So there's that. He underwent surgery. He had the operation. And then Sean Payton had a press conference after the Broncos lost to the Patriots, a game in which the Broncos didn't have Bo Nix, obviously. Jarrett Stidham started that game, and the Broncos didn't do well. So Sean Payton made a comment like Bo was predisposed to these ankle injuries because he had a history of them in college and high school, I think it was. And there was this concern now that it's going to be a trend for Bo and his long-term outlook, his future, yada, yada. And he made the comment that it was a matter of when and not if his ankle was going to get a fracture and he was going to undergo surgery or have to deal with some sort of injury to his ankle, considering the history. And that didn't sit right with number 10, with the franchise quarterback, because yesterday, Bo Nix called a press conference. He gathered everyone by Zoom, all the reporters, the local media, and set the record straight and basically contradicted Sean Payton, saying that he shouldn't have said that, and I'm not predisposed to anything. And they went in there. There's no worry for the future. I'm good. I'll be back in 4 to 6 weeks, not 4 to 6 months, whatever the timeline was. So that's the title of the pod tonight, was Bo Nix and Sean Payton got their wires crossed, and that's where that stems from. For anyone who hasn't heard about that, there's a little bit of ankle gate going on between Sean Payton and Bo Nix. And Bo, I give him credit. We'll get more into it as the show goes on. It's looking like not a very active chat. Let me make sure I got everything connected here. YouTube's connected. X is connected. Facebook's connected. Okay, maybe it's just a slower night. So we'll get more into the Bo Nix, Sean Payton, ankle gate stuff, but I do want to get to the supers before I fall behind in them. David, thank you so much. $2 super. Good evening, Broncos country. Good evening to you, David. Hope you're doing amazing tonight. Sam Bam, $20 super. Thank you so much, Sam. Hope you're doing amazing this Thursday, the first Thursday pod post Broncos loss in the AFC Championship. Brutal, man. Still not over it. I watched that game again last night, and upon further review, the 4th and 1 decision is still breathtakingly bad. just astonishingly stupid. Anyway, Sam, thank you so much for your super. Hi, Zach. I don't make much of this Bo and Paton issue about saying stuff to the media about his ankle, mainly a taken out of context and misappropriation of words type thing. What are your thoughts on Lombardi being let go? Thank you, Sam, for asking that question. So I guess I'll tie in the coaching stuff because I haven't talked to you guys since Monday. There has been a little activity on Sean Payton's staff. I wrote about it. We've been covering it on the pods and the website. But obviously, Joe Lombardi, the Broncos OC, was fired on Tuesday, right after Sean Payton conducted his year-end press conference, right after Sean Payton talked about the receiving drops in that game and how the performance didn't meet the standard and this and that. Joe Lombardi kind of abruptly was fired. And I said this on Twitter. I haven't gotten a chance to say it on the pod, and I'll say this, Sam. It doesn't look like it's the case, but if they fired Joe Lombardi to promote Davis Webb, then good on them. Because Joe Lombardi wasn't doing anything. Joe Lombardi was a figurehead. He had the title by knowing Sean Payton, by association. He was a coordinator in name only. Davis Webb was more instrumental. Obviously, Sean Payton was more instrumental to Bo Nix. Pete Carmichael, the senior offensive assistant, he was more instrumental. What did Joe Lombardi do around Broncos Park? What did he do during the week? What did he do on game days? If he wasn't calling plays, if he wasn't coaching the quarterbacks, what was he doing? He had no real role. And if he wasn't buddy-buddy with Sean Payton, he wouldn't have had a job to begin with, more than likely, because he's been fired everywhere he's been, Joe Lombardi. Everywhere. Just like with Darren Rizzi. If Darren Rizzi wasn't friends with Sean Payton, Darren Rizzi wouldn't be the Broncos special teams coordinator right now. Cronyism is a hell of a drug in the NFL. So if they fired Lombardi to promote Webb, who actually is useful, who actually does stuff, who actually deserves the elevation, good on them. Tremendous move. I support it wholeheartedly. But it's not looking like they did that, Sam. It's looking like they got rid of Joe Lombardi kind of hastily, by the way. I wrote about this for the website. Joe Lombardi was asked by Chris Thomason of the Denver Gazette about his firing, and he basically said Sean Payton decided to move on. He was in one of those moods, quote unquote, and it just seems like Sean is very reactionary right now. He's unhappy with how the title game went, the offense looked in that game, and he's made moves and terminations in the wake of that, Joe Lombardi being one. And Lombardi said, listen, I just heard from Sean that I'm out, and he decided to move on, and that was that. He doesn't feel like he's being scapegoated. I kind of do. I feel like to get the heat and the pressure off of Sean Payton for all his coaching decisions and bad calls he made in the AFC title game, let's fire Joe Lombardi. He could be the fall guy. So as much as Lombardi says it's not the case, I think there's a token of truth to it. But Davis Webb is out interviewing for head coaching jobs. He pulled himself out of consideration. It just came out before the pod for the Raiders head coaching job. So Davis Webb will not be the Raiders head coach, but Davis Webb can still be an OC somewhere else where he can call plays. That's his big thing. He feels like he deserves to call plays, and he's right. With the work that he's done with Bo Nix and in the Broncos system, working under Sean Payton, sitting under that learning tree, he deserves his chance. I think Davis Webb is a little young to be a head coach, but OC calling plays, absolutely. So if it was a 1-for-1, Sam, to answer your question, I would support it wholeheartedly. I still think it was the right move because Joe Lombardi wasn't doing anything. He was basically taking a payroll, and that's that. I read they're interviewing Ronald Curry, former Bills assistant, for the OC job. They're conducting a wide-ranging process to find Lombardi's replacement. And maybe if Davis Webb doesn't get any of these other OC jobs elsewhere, maybe they'll just promote him. But as of now, that's not the plan. And they're conducting a full-fledged search to find Lombardi's replacement. Regardless whether they make Webb the OC or not, it was a net positive to fire Lombardi. It was addition by subtraction. It was time. Changes had to be made. And Lombardi, unfortunately, he was one of the casualties. But thank you, Sam. Deanna, let me not keep you waiting any longer. Thank you so much for that. So generous of you. Dear member, legend, Mount Rushmore. I'm trying to think of every superlative that Chad says for you because it's so bang on accurate. But thank you so much, Deanna. $50 super. Super excited for this offseason. We need to bulk up the offensive line. We need a wide receiver 1, running back 1, and tight end. Excited to see who comes in as coaches. Does VJ stay? Hit like, share, and subscribe. Best podcast on Go Broncos, MHH for life. Deanna, thank you so much. Seriously, as always, I know I say it every time, and even me saying this sounds repetitive. Even me saying that it's repetitive sounds repetitive, but your generosity is amazing. It blows me away each and every time. So thank you again for the super. And I find myself once again agreeing with you. I'm excited for the offseason, and I always have, because that's where the movement is. It's so unpredictable. During the season, everything is regimented. You know what we're going to get on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We don't know when free agency and the draft season rolls around what's going to happen. So I love the offseason for that. It's also good for business. We like making more money around here. And you're right about the O-line. They looked severely overmatched against New England. The national consensus, Deanna, would probably disagree with you, because Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners are up for the NFL Protector of the Year award, the inaugural, award. The first time they're doing it this year. They're both up for it, but you wouldn't know it based on how they played in the AFC Championship. So yeah, they need more size up front, more beef up front. Absolutely. That's the biggest point you can make here. The number one goal, even more so than upgrading the offensive line, is upgrading Bo Nix's supporting cast. Give me multiple new receivers. Give me multiple new running backs. Give me multiple tight ends. I don't care about upside of Caleb Lohner. I want someone that's going to be a threat for Bo Nix now. I want someone that's actually going to be that joker. That's actually going to be a dynamic playmaker like an Evan Ingram. I want a true number one receiver, not a number one receiver or a number two masquerading as a number one in Cortland Sutton's case. I want a true number one, not a RB2 or an RB3, really, that was shoehorned into an RB1 role. You're absolutely right. It has to be the number one objective, and there's no excuse. The Russell Wilson dead money is off the books. All $85 million. They have their draft picks. They have their major pieces in place. Now it's about building around those pieces. And even Greg Penner said yesterday, the Broncos CEO and co-owner, we're going to be aggressively opportunistic. So they know what has to be done. And number one on that list, like you said here, Deanna, upgrade the weaponry around and for your franchise quarterback. And about VJ really quickly, it's crazy the fall off in hype that VJ has experienced. If you asked me like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have said he's a goner. In fact, that's how Chad and I were talking. Like, yeah, VJ's probably going to go. And is it going to be Jim Leonard as his replacement? Are they going to look elsewhere? Now, every job has been filled and VJ is still standing there with no dance partner. The musical chairs are being filled up and VJ is not sitting down. There's really two jobs left, Arizona and Vegas. VJ did interview for both, but it looks like Clint Kubiak is the favorite for both. VJ was the favorite for the Arizona job. It's not looking like he's going to get that. So they're more likely, the Broncos right now, to lose Jim Leonard than they are to lose VJ. If I had to give you an answer, Deanna, I do think VJ does return for one more go in 2026. It might be that teams are still reticent. They're still hesitant to take a chance on VJ, not just because of his prior stint as the Broncos head coach, but because if you look objectively at the defense, the Broncos defense over the second half of the season, yeah, they were really, really great in the AFC title game against New England. They deserved to win that game. They played their asses off. But after the bye week in the regular season, they were not nearly as good. And so maybe NFL teams are wary now because of that. But it's looking like, as of right this second, VJ will return for another year as the Broncos defensive coordinator. All right, let me take a scroll through the comments. What about Davis Webb? Someone's asking. Roy, he's withdrawn. Yeah, so again, for anyone who hasn't heard, it came out about an hour ago. Davis Webb interviewed for the Raiders head coaching job, and now he's no longer in consideration for the job. Smart on his part, because he'd probably be fired in about a year if it doesn't work out there, and it wouldn't. It's tough. They do have some pieces with Genty and Bowers. They have the number one pick. They have a bunch of cap space, but the number one pick is going to be used on Mendoza, and I don't see a franchise quarterback in Mendoza. I see someone that's more likely to bust than be a legitimate franchise quarterback. So smart on Webb's part. He's a 31-year-old. He has such a bright future. He probably has like 2 or 3 decades in the league if he wants it. Don't settle now. It's like what Ben Johnson in Detroit did. He was the Lions OC for years, and he was getting head coaching nibbles and interest every offseason. He waited and waited and waited, and he finally took the job that he felt was best for himself with Chicago. That's what Davis Webb needs to do. So smart on him. And now Bo Nix and Sean Payton won't have to beat Davis Webb twice a year. And you're right. I mentioned it earlier, Roy, but yeah, the Broncos did interview or will interview. I think they already spoke to him. Ronald Curry, former Bills assistant for their OC job. That's one name in the hat right now. You have to assume Davis Webb is another name in the hat. And maybe Zach Strief, maybe Pete Carmichael. Those are a couple in-house options. The number one out-of-house name that we've heard so far, though, like you said, Roy, is Ronald Curry. Lawrence, $5 super. Thank you, Lawrence. What's up, buddy? What's up to you? Seems like we built it up just to lose it. I'm glad we were on a winning streak and people will want to come now, but still, yeah. Like I said, I rewatched the game last night on NFL Network, and it's tough because the environment was set up for a Broncos win. And I don't even just mean with Bo Nix. If Bo plays that game, the Broncos win comfortably. I'm not worried about that. But, Jarrett Stidham did have a couple chances in the fourth quarter, the ball in his hands, only down a field goal. I know it was a blizzard, but you do practice and you do live in Colorado. You should be used to the elements. That's what's tough about it. Is not the Bo thing, yeah, and the fact they lost, yeah, and how it turned out, the 4th and 1, the fumble, yeah. But if you rewatch the game, it's so freaking winnable. And winnable up until the very end, up until Drake May ran for that first down. The game was so freaking winnable. So, yeah, it's tough, man. The Broncos should be preparing to face the Seahawks right now in the Super Bowl. And instead, we're talking about a freaking ankle. We're talking about ankle surgery. It's like the butterfly effect. Imagine if Bo never hurts his ankle. Not only do we not have to talk about this, I'm not doing a podcast around an ankle, but we're preparing for Super Bowl 60, the 10-year anniversary since the Broncos last won it, a rematch of a previous game we don't talk about in Broncos lore between the Seahawks and the Broncos. It does suck, Lawrence, but it does mean the Broncos are on an upswing now. They won 14 games. They won the AFC West. They had the number 1 seed. They won a playoff game. They beat the Bills. No one gave them a chance in that. They beat the Bills. They made it competitive down to the very end without their best player, their quarterback. So, yeah, they're now, I think, very close to an AFC legitimate superpower that a lot of free agents will want to play for. And when a rookie gets drafted to them, it's no longer, okay, the Broncos, I guess that's good. It's, oh, yeah, effing right. It's the Broncos. Let's go. That's the difference. So you are right about that, Lawrence. Although, again, if anyone rewatches the game, it's like taking a knife and just jabbing it repeatedly right in here. All right. Probably a slower night since the start of the Broncos offseason. Maybe, Sam. I see it's picked up a little bit. We have 130 people watching. If my analytics are correct, it's still slow considering what we usually do, but I get it. This is the time now, especially until free agency next month in March, or at least until the combine, when fans kind of pull away a little bit. They take on other interests and put football aside. So I totally understand. Totally get it, especially with how the season ended. It was very anticlimactic with Stidham and all the hype he had, and then him to put up 7 points. And for those 7 points, by the way, to occur in the first quarter and then to do nothing, or in the first half, and then to do nothing after that, to have the ball in your hands with a chance to win multiple times in the fourth quarter, down 3 with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Tough. We have Huero in the house. Huero 1. I love Zach by himself. I appreciate that. I know I'm probably a lot to handle digitally, verbally. I know me solo is probably not for everyone, but I love doing the solo shows. I thrive, I think, with them. I love talking to y'all. I said this on KK, and I said this when I did the solo last week. The days are all running together. I don't know anymore. Monday, whatever it was. Sunday, whatever day it was. I just love talking to y'all. So I love being solo, Huero, and I love the fact that you enjoy it. Thank you for that support. It means a lot. Sam again, Zach, do you think the firing of Lombardi, if they promote Webb to OC, it's going to be to make sure Webb doesn't go elsewhere? Yeah, that's got to be to incentivize him to stay in Denver. The Broncos showed their hand, Sam, last year before the start of this past season when they basically protected Davis Webb and Jim Leonhard by giving them additional titles. They're both the passing game coordinators for their sides of the ball. Jim Leonhard became assistant head coach. The Broncos have 2 or 3 assistant head coaches. It's kind of weird. But yeah, that's one thing. But also, what's more of a possibility now than what it was a week ago is if they promote Davis Webb to OC or whoever they hire as OC, there's a legitimate chance that OC could be calling plays on game days in 2026. And I only say that. And I know I've been so steadfast and I've held my ground on saying he'll give up play calling when they rip the play sheet out of his cold, dead fingers. I still kind of feel that way, but something has swayed me a little bit. And that something was kind of an innocuous report by Ian Rappaport of NFL Network the other night when Joe Brady got the Bills head coaching job. Rappaport was reporting about Brady that the Broncos were interested in bringing Brady to be OC to the extent that Sean Payton was willing to let him call plays. Again, this is according to Ian Rappaport. It's not according to me. It's not according to some rando off the streets. This is like a legitimate newsbreaker, and he's saying that. So that's very interesting. And that coupled with the Joe Lombardi firing, Sam, I do think Sean Payton had a moment to himself. And this is the best case scenario. This means that his ego is lessening. His pride is not enveloping him. And again, I hope this is the case as much anymore, because that's why he made that 4th and 1 call to pass it and not to take the points. His ego. He thought he had the best play call. He was coaching Jarrett Stidham, and he threw his support behind him. So if Stidham completed it, if Stidham won the game, it'd make Sean Payton look better. It was all ego. The biggest drawback to the 2025 Broncos, the biggest Achilles heel, was Sean Payton and Sean Payton's ego. Point blank, period. So there's a lot that goes into it with that. But I do think firing his longtime friend in Joe Lombardi and then being willing, reportedly, to give Joe Brady play calling, I think the ego now is being dealt with. I think the pride is being consolidated, or at least we hope. Because if Sean Payton can put his ego and pride aside, he can be even better of a play caller. He can be even better of a head coach. Because when he outsmarts himself, it trickles down to the whole team, from the quarterback to the line play to the running backs to the end result of the game. If Sean Payton takes those points with Stidham against the Patriots, they probably win the game. Sean Payton, if you had to give a pie chart of blame for that game, Sean Payton is eating the biggest piece of pie for that loss. So it's to keep Webb, absolutely, Sam, but I do think there's maybe a small chance, but a chance nonetheless, that he would let Webb or somebody else call plays when they make their OC hire. All right, what else? Roy and Bronco Danny saying, yeah, probably, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There is the Rooney Rule. That does happen. Teams do interview minority candidates just to satisfy that rule, which says that you have to interview minority candidates in the search of a coach or GM or a coordinator. Although I'm starting to think, I don't know if, Jim Leonhard of Buffalo? Okay, I hope that wasn't being reported. I have such FOMO when we do these pods and I don't have Twitter open and I don't see what's going on in the moment. I have such FOMO. But let me just scroll. I don't know if there's a Rooney Rule for coordinators. There might be. I know for head coaches and GMs, but if there is, it could be the Broncos are satisfying that. But we'll see over the course of this search. It might be a little while before they name their next OC. All right. We're at 24 minutes, and I have a couple ad reads to do as well. So I'm gonna get to you fast, Glenn. I'm gonna get to the supers or some of the higher end comments. But what I mean by that is stars comments if I can find them, and then we'll get on with the crux of the show. So Glenn saying, "Good afternoon, Zach and Broncos country. I'm happy with letting Lombardi go. I think Davis Webb needs to be promoted and given play calling duties. I also would love to know who you think we should target for wide receiver and quarterbacks coaches too. We have a lot to do, a full-fledged search, and apply to the Rooney Rule. Feels like a 24/7 Apple pod. Zach Solo, MHH for life, full off-season most stated being. Glenn, if you were around during the 24/7 days, those were Facebook Lives. It was me on the 24/7 Facebook page 5 or 6 nights a week, just ranting like I do now. If you were a part of that group back then, man, that's awesome. Thank you for sticking around that long. But the fact that you even know about 24/7 means that you are an OG. That's awesome to hear. Thank you for bringing up, too. It wasn't just Lombardi that got fired. Sean Payton also, not coincidentally, fired Kerry Colbert, the wide receivers coach, and the cornerbacks coach, Addison Lynch. Now, we'll get to Colbert for a second. That came literally like an hour after Sean Payton in the end-of-season press conference. Sean Payton talked about the drops that the receivers committed in the game. And he admitted that there were too many drops over the course of the season. And then he goes, the receivers were catching the ball incorrectly. They weren't using their thumb. They weren't using their fingers. The spacing when they were catching passes wasn't optimized. It wasn't correct. Then they go fire the receivers coach. So on a macro level and a general view, I love that Sean Payton is not sitting on his hands. I love that he's not protecting his friends, his longtime staff members, because all 3 guys that got fired were with him since 2023. Since he got the job in Denver, he hired them initially. I like that Sean's taking action. I like that he's doing anything to improve the team and get him over the hump, and not to be satisfied with the AFC title game, to get them to the Super Bowl and then to win a freaking Lombardi trophy. I do like him being aggressive in that sense. So, yeah, they fired the receivers coach. I don't really have a name for you, Glenn, in terms of who I would want them to hire. Maybe John Morton, if he's still around. He was the Broncos, the passing game coordinator last year, and then he left to Detroit to become the OC. Got fired, I think it was mid-season, by Detroit. I don't know if he's still out there, but maybe he comes back in a similar role. Sean Payton knows him. I don't really have another name for you. I don't have another name for cornerback coach either. Maybe Champ Bailey. How about that? Or Aqib Talib. Let's bring a veteran, an alumnus, a former legend into the fold. One of those 2, I think, would make amazing coaches if they want to do it. So that's the deal with the cornerback and the receivers coach. I think they both got fired because of the lack of execution on the field. Sean Payton admitted it with the way they catch the passes. And then I don't know if Addison Lynch got fired because of the Riley Moss penalties. People were saying the lack of development with Jahdae Barron, the first-round pick. Then he took the fall for that. But Sean did not wait, man. The firings were announced literally like an hour after they wrapped up their season-ending press conference. All right, I want to handle some matters of business because Broncos country, Valentine's Day is almost here. And how are you guys going to show off yourself and those around you and give you guys an extra bit of little love? Whether it's for someone special or just for yourself, Cozy Earth makes it easy to bring comfort and care into your everyday life. This Valentine's Day season, we are offering a BOGO pajama deal you won't see any other time of the year. Guys, check out the bamboo pajama set. It's a classic Cozy Earth favorite, and it's the sleepwear upgrade that'll make you look forward to slipping into bed at night even more than you already do. Lightweight yet cozy, this soft pajamas set helps you fall asleep faster and stays comfortable longer. It's designed to drape beautifully and sleep cooler than cotton. It keeps your temperature just right without overheating. It makes for a great night's sleep. Try them out. If you don't love them, return them hassle-free, but trust me, you won't want to. Cozy Earth offers customers a 100-night sleep trial as well as a 10-year warranty, because once you feel this level of comfort, you'll want it to last a decade. These viral PJs are so good they sold out during the holidays, and now they're back with an exclusive-only deal January 25th to February 8th. So head to CozyEarth.com and use our code HUDDLEBOGO to buy one, get one free. Get these PJs for you and someone you love. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here at MHH. Celebrate every day love and comfort that makes little moments count. All right, back to the chat. That read is a lot for one person. So I'm looking forward to when Chad gets back with me on Sunday. Let's see if I miss any supers, though. Like I said, guys, it's me totally solo tonight. We're halfway in. I'll stay on for another 25 or 30, depending on the conversation. It might be less. But if I missed any supers or other comments, I'm not ignoring you. I do apologize. It's me solo. We will make it up to you on Sunday's show. I think I got everyone, except I'm so sorry to keep you waiting, Michaela. I just saw you now, $49.99 super. Thank you so much. Another foundational, instrumental, legendary member of the MHH podcast who, again, like you and Deanna and so many others around here, Michaela, Chad and I talk off camera about you all the time, how grateful we are, how appreciative we are. So thank you once again, as always. Zach flying solo tonight. I think the supposed argument between Bo and Sean is much of nothing. Both passionate fellas, much love. Great observation, Michaela. And that's what I wrote on Twitter yesterday. If there's one thing I love about Bo Nix, and I love many things about Bo Nix, but if there's one thing I love about his personality that was much different than the man he replaced, his predecessor, he is not afraid at all to push back on Sean Payton when necessary. If Sean Payton starts getting a little out of bounds with Bo Nix, Sean Payton will check him. And I linked the video from Bo's rookie season on the sideline. There was a little bit of a dust-up between Sean and Bo, a little bit of a heated argument or discussion. And it was very animated. We don't know to this day what it was about. The truth, I mean, really, they could say what they want. But if you watch the video closely, not only does Sean, I think, back down, first of all, he respects that. He loves that little a-hole side of Bo Nix. He wants his quarterback to talk crap back to him a little bit. He doesn't want his quarterback to sit there and take it. If he's chewing out his quarterback, he doesn't want his quarterback to sit there and just look down at his feet on the sideline like somebody else that we know. He doesn't respect that. He respects you more that if you give it to him right back, and that's what Bo did. I mean, Bo went full crazy eyes, steam out of his ears, like he gave it back to Sean Payton. And if you watch Davis Webb in that interaction, Davis Webb immediately comes to the aid of, or the side of Bo Nix. He says something that is in defense of Bo Nix to Sean Payton. If you watch the interaction of Sean Payton dressing down Russell Wilson on the sideline, I mean, totally berating him, Davis Webb is off to the side a little bit. He's not interjecting. He's not saying anything. He's not sticking his neck out for Sean Payton. Or for Bo Nix, excuse me. So it's not only is it so instrumental, that's why I want the Broncos to keep Davis Webb around, because he's the perfect like buffer between Bo and Sean, between player and coach. He's the perfect go-between. He relates to Bo Nix with his youth, the fact that he played quarterback, but he's also helping develop Bo for Sean Payton and developing his career under Sean Payton. So you're right, Michaela. Both are very passionate. Both wear their hearts on their sleeves. Both love and breathe and live and will die football, as morbid as that may sound. And that's what the game is. It's very passionate. These are all alpha males. These are all, hopped up on testosterone and emotions and a lot of moving parts. And that's what I think played a part in it. It's much ado about nothing, but it's only because there's nothing else to talk about right now. There's nothing else in the news cycle. If the Broncos would have won the game, this wouldn't be talked about. It's because they lost the game. And it's because there's nothing else until Bo gets back on the field that we're going to have to fill in the gaps with. So prepare yourself, all of you guys, for a whole offseason, at least until like April, May, when Bo comes back, of headlines being, do Bo and Sean Payton have a problem? Did Bo Nix piss off Sean Payton? Did Sean Payton piss off Bo Nix? Are they not a good match? Should they trade Bo Nix? Are the Broncos cooked? That's all we're going to hear about until Bo gets back on the field and shows that the ankle is fine and we can go back to our regularly scheduled programming. But until then, Michaela, you're going to hear a lot of it. And like you said, it's much ado about nothing. And because they're both very passionate about their jobs. All right, I'm gonna scroll the comments here. Buzz Acevedo saying Bo takes no BS from anyone. That's my kind of quarterback. Absolutely. I've always hated the type of quarterback that was very passive. And maybe it's just because, like, even outside the NFL, I resonate and I gravitate more toward people that have a little bit of that a-hole streak in them. So I was a big fan of Jay Cutler. He was far from the greatest quarterback in Broncos history, far from the greatest quarterback in NFL history. but he was such an a-hole that you have to respect it. He wasn't going to take any crap from anyone. And that's the same thing about Bo Nix. That's what I love about him. And that's when, Sean always talks about Drew Brees in context with Bo Nix. And he always talks about Bo being different. I think that's one of the reasons why they're different, or one of the ways. Drew Brees was more of the yes man, the company man. He didn't want to ruffle too many feathers. Bo, though, is not afraid to ruffle those feathers. Bo will give it as much as he gets. And I'm right there with you, Buzz. I respect the hell out of any quarterback or player that has that mindset. I really do. Brad Murdoch, 1999 super. Thank you so much, Brad, for that. I seriously appreciate the support tonight. And going into the offseason, every bit helps. And seriously, thank you. Thanks for being on tonight, Zach. Hoping for Webb for OC. He's good for Bo. Absolutely. Kind of like Shanahan was that buffer between Elway and Reeves back in the day. Great comment here, Brad. Absolutely fantastic analogy, because you're so bang on correct. You need that buffer. You need someone that's going to be relatable. So if you don't have it already in the coach, if you have kind of an older school coach, I don't know. Not a progressive coach like a Shanahan or a Vic Fangio, a Bill Parcells. You want that buffer like you're talking about. And like you're saying, Shanahan, I'm sorry, you like Reeves was, and Shanahan was that buffer. I got a little confused with reading all those names there. Yeah. So you want someone that can be relatable. Why Wade Phillips was so good, that's why I got thrown off, because I'm just thinking of all these names to bandy about. The reason Wade Phillips was so successful in Denver was he was an amazing coach, but he was also so relatable to his players. He would put the chain on like Aqib Talib's chain and dance around the locker room, but he also wasn't afraid to hold anyone accountable. Like he would, if it came to it, he would bench DeMarcus Ware or Von Miller if it came to it. He wasn't afraid. He had the best of both worlds. So unless you have that very unique personality and gift, really, you need that buffer like you're talking about, Brad. So there's no excuse. I mean, the Broncos are owned by Walmart. They have more money than freaking God. Let's show Davis Webb an offer he can't refuse. Let's maybe work it in where after a certain time, we'll give you some play calling responsibilities and move forward. Keep him on staff, because Davis Webb is the future of the offensive coordinator position in the NFL, if not head coach. And I would rather the future be in Denver than elsewhere. But thank you again, Brad. All right. String guy making the same point. Yeah, Mike Shanahan played that role between Elway and Reeves. Absolutely. Yeah, great comments, guys. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's so true. You need that. It's so imperative. And Davis Webb he's clicked with Bo since day one. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if it was, and don't roast me, let me make my point. I don't care if it was Hackett that got the most out of Bo Nix. As long as they're getting the most out of Bo Nix, that's all I care about. So Davis Webb is so good in that role, and I hope that they'll show him the money and give him a little more of a promotion, both in title and in responsibility. All right, we'll take this from Scott Sandoval. Ingram was a huge disappointment. Joker, my ass. Dre and Dobbins to injury-prone. Harvey, not a solo. Running back one needs another running back, real running back. Yeah, I can't really disagree there. And I said this, I don't know if it was on the last solo show I did, Scott, or on KK on Tuesday. And by the way, Scott, we really need you to become a member, man. If you haven't done so already, please seriously consider becoming a member, because you would get immediate access to Kelberman's Corner every single Tuesday. Live for our YouTube-only VIP members, hot takes that hold water. Basically, it's me ranting for about 20 or 30 minutes in the same mold as this. So if you like this, please consider becoming a member, because we have way more stuff on the way for that. But you're right. I said the same thing. One of my biggest bugaboos or pet peeves with George Paton, I love him as a GM. I think he's a top 5 GM in the NFL, bar none. One of my biggest pet peeves, though, is his proclivity to sign injury-prone players. And when you sign injury-prone players, and you guys have heard me say this before, more than likely they're going to get, wait for it, injured. And that's exactly what happened. Dobbins, everywhere he's been in the NFL, Baltimore, Los Angeles, Denver, when he's on the field, he's a top 10 running back, if not a top 5 running back in the league. The problem is he's so rarely on the freaking field. And it doesn't matter if you have prime Walter Payton on your team. If he can't play, if he's not active, then it doesn't matter. So my point with Webb is the same point I'll make now with a receiver or a running back. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. As long as they improve the offense, as long as we can depend on them. Depend on them if they're a receiver. Depend on them to catch passes. That's their number one objective. If they're a running back or a player in general, to stay healthy and to be in the backfield all season long. So you guys are going to ask me specifically, like I see Breece Hall and this and that. I don't care if it's Breece Hall. I don't care if they trade for Tyler Algier or if he's a free agent this upcoming season. He could be a tremendous RB1, but my point is I don't care who it is. And yes, TW4313, Paton is a top 5 GM in the NFL. Objectively, he is. So we can get into that at a later date. We have a lot of offseason, but you name me 4 better GMs when you consider in the salary cap, and don't factor in Russ. But when you consider in, because he was here before Russ came here, factor in the salary cap, the free agent signings, the trades, he's a top 5 GM. Absolutely. But I don't care if it's Breece Hall. I don't care if it's Algier. I don't care who it is, as long as they're going to stay healthy and as long as they're going to help out Bo Nix. Because you're right, Scott, they cannot keep relying on Band-Aids, bubble gum, and duct tape to fix the offense. They tried it. They waited until the 2nd round to draft a running back. They waited until the 3rd round to draft a receiver. They waited until the 7th round to draft a tight end. They used their 1st round pick on a defensive back. That can't happen again. No more. There's no excuses. You have the cap room. You have the motivation. Bo Nix literally sacrificed his body, his livelihood. He got you to the AFC title game. The least they can do is load up his supporting cast. And I just hope when they do that, they're not going to cheap out and get injury-prone players, because you're right. Oh, all good, Scott. I didn't know that. All good, man. For anyone who can, all good. Just we always encourage our non-members to become members. There's so much content now and on the way for our VIP members, but we totally get it. Please put that toward yourself. Life's tough right now, and I thank you for your service, Scott. At least we're not the Browns, Jody says. Yeah. Browns are in tough shape, man. The Browns are going to be the Browns for quite a while. And what's sad is, they have, like, really quickly, who is it? Who is it that always says, I think it's Ernie that always says Broncos country only. Ernie gets pissed off when we talk about other teams, but the Browns really, like, aren't that far off. Like, they have a Super Bowl defense already. They have a couple good tight ends in Fannin and Njoku. They have a good running back in Quinshon Judkins. They do have Jerry Jeudy. They have a couple decent upside receivers there. You never know what Shedeur Sanders could be, but the Browns are just going to stay the Browns. And yeah, we have to be happy that we're not them anymore. We're not being talked about in the same category as these other basement dwellers. The Broncos are legitimate, and the Broncos are a superpower in the AFC. And the Broncos are that because largely Bo Nix got him there. So the least they can do to reward him reciprocally here is to get him some more weapons. Because if you look at the receivers really quick, and I have to get to one more matter of business before I start to wind it down for this evening. If you look at the receivers that were on the field at the end of the AFC Championship, it was Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey, and Elijah Moore. That is disgusting. I don't care if it's Stidham or Bo Nix. That is disgusting. That cannot happen. Troy Franklin got injured. Pat Bryant got injured. Pat Bryant's another one. We cannot count on him for anything going forward. If we get anything out of Pat Bryant, it will be a bonus because every game he's getting hurt. And the same thing I said about Walter Payton and J.K. Dobbins also applies to Pat Bryant, who I'm still very bullish on. And I've been bullish on. But he could be the next Randy Moss. It won't matter if he doesn't stay healthy. So they cannot cheap out anymore at all. Please devote significant resources, trade capital, free agent dollars, draft picks, whatever you have to do, high round draft picks to helping out Bo Nix because he freaking deserves it. Sorry. Get a little passionate when I talk about our quarterback because it's just so, it's sickening. It's sickening the way it worked out. And I talked about this on the last solo show. The injury sucked. But it was like the timing of the injury, the gut punch, the being hit like that. And I was right here doing this pod, celebrating the divisional round win over the Buffalo Bills. And then, Bo Nix fractured his ankle. He's done for the year. And that's that. Because I knew in here, despite what I predicted, despite what I said, it wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be. And that's what sucks about it. Bo Nix won them the game. He didn't get hurt in the first quarter against Buffalo. He played the whole freaking game with a fractured ankle in certain parts with it. And then won them the game. And then he's out for the year. That's the brutal part. He got them to the AFC title game, but couldn't participate in it. He had to watch from a freaking press box like he's the owner. I feel so bad for him still. So the least they can do, is go out and upgrade a supporting cast. Do not cheap out. Go out and help your franchise quarterback, man. All right, what else we got? We got Brad Taylor saying D-Dub needs to be promoted. No one makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Taylor. And a member for 6 months, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's incredible. I'm at a loss for words. Seriously, I'm because I see the supers and I see all your support and all your generosity, and it blows me away. So thank you so much, Taylor. 6 months. And you're right, Davis Webb, D-Dub, as we call him now around here, he does deserve to be promoted. It has to happen. It does make sense. We'll see if it actually happens, but it makes almost too much sense. And Taylor chiming in. Not only did he give a great comment, he's also throwing down some supers. Thank you so much for that, Taylor. Are you concerned with Troy Franklin? Oh man, you're gonna have to help me out there. I have way too much going on to start like deciphering acronyms and things like that, Taylor. You don't have to super. Just please like spell out who you're talking about, and I'll get back to it in a second. Because I do see we have Deanna here, and I have to get to a matter of business and then wind it down. But thank you again, Deanna. Literally, I don't even know what else to say. Just thank you so much. Seriously. She says Curry interviewed and he was who Sean Payton wanted before Lombardi, so wondering if that might be an issue if Webb doesn't stay. I'm hoping for Webb. Please hit like button. 73 watching and only 2 have hit the thumbs up. Yeah, guys, if you don't take it from Deanna, take it from me. Please, if you hear the sound of my voice right now or after the fact, please hit those thumbs up. You have no idea how much it helps out the video, the channel, Chad, Scott, me, everyone involved. Please hit those thumbs up like Deanna's saying there. And yeah, good point. They did show previous interest in Ronald Curry. So we'll see how that materializes. He won't be the only name, Deanna, that the Broncos bring in. And I just think they're waiting for that shoe to drop with Davis Webb. They're waiting to see what's going to happen with him. The longer he doesn't get a job, the better odds he has of coming back to the Broncos. In what capacity, I don't know. But if these other positions get filled, I think the Broncos would be more inclined to give him a bigger contract, give him more responsibilities, and promote him to OC. Because again, like Taylor was saying, it makes just too much sense, way too much sense for it to happen. It needs to happen ASAP. Phil saying, I sent some stars. Like I said earlier, Phil, it's just me here tonight, flying completely solo. No Scott in the background, no Chad in the background. I don't have dual end access in front of me. I only see StreamYard. So I don't have access to the stars right now. So if I missed you, I'm sorry about that. I am acknowledging whatever you sent in for the stars. If you want to give another comment with the comment you made with the stars, I'll be happy to answer. But thank you for that. We do appreciate it as always. What else? Should we look at Travis Etienne? No, because that's another guy, injury prone. Just bring back Dobbins at that point. I know Etienne had a strong end to his 2025 season, but he has some injury concerns. They just need to find someone, Tyler Algier from Atlanta, who's been the number 2 behind Bijan. He could start for about 15 teams in the NFL. Same with Zach Charbonnet from Seattle. If the Broncos go after Algier, that's someone that's interesting because at least he has upside. I don't know if Etienne has any more upside. I think we saw maybe the best of Travis Etienne at the NFL level. I think he might have hit his ceiling. All right, let me do one thing really quickly. Guys, I'm sure by now you have, but just in case you haven't, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where you get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the U.S. And it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, which is coming right up, or anything else you have going on. It's seriously amazing. Goldbelly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original Buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, real Philly cheesesteaks, or even the legendary Franklin's barbecue straight from Texas to your doorstep. And with Valentine's Day indeed coming up, they have some great gifts like the award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, world-famous macaroons from La Durée, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O. The Philly cheesesteak really caught my eye. It was absolutely delicious. It was high-quality grub delivered straight to my door. And it lived up to the lofty expectations I had and of the Philly cheesesteak. It was like having a culinary piece of Philly shipped to me hassle-free. Sometimes you really don't know what you have. You're going to get quality-wise from online food ordering sites, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers. This tasted amazing, genuinely. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or want to impress a loved one on Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MILEHIGH. That's goldbelly.com, code MILEHIGH for 20% off your first order. Woo! All right. Now that those matters of business are officially satisfied, I can return to the chat here. Let me see what you guys are saying. I see a couple comments. Okay, Taylor, clarifying. Sorry, Zach, I was trying to say Huff and Greenlaw's comments on the defensive adjustments. What, thank you for clarifying, Taylor. I'm sorry I didn't pick up on the acronyms at first. I do think it was interesting that Greenlaw also said that Sean Payton runs them way harder in training camp and practice than Kyle Shanahan did in San Francisco. So maybe that's something to consider as well, giving them a little more rest time, downtime during the weeks, and keeping them healthier that way. But they both talked about how the defense was way more complex than initially thought. And Evan Ingram also talked about subtly that his role, what it turned out to be, wasn't what necessarily they promised him when he signed with Denver. So very interesting, Taylor, and not too big of a deal, but definitely interesting stuff to come out of the media availability. And yeah, Taylor, I mean, obviously, you go as far as your quarterback does. It's the most important position, not just in football, but all of sports is the quarterback. So yeah, best player on the team easily. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said PS2, but after what Bo Nix did this season, he is 1,000% the best player on the team. What else we got here? What else we got? Sorry, I got some noties on the phone. People saying, Michaela's saying, how about Breece Hall? There's levels to it. Listen, I don't want to go after injury-prone players, except though I believe he hasn't really had, I know he tore that ACL or he hurt his knee a couple years ago. Except for that, though, I think he's been mostly healthy. This is someone who I wanted the Broncos, Michaela, to go after at the trade deadline or before that. This is a guy who's killed the Broncos in the past when the two teams played. So if they can get him for like a fourth round pick for an aging running back or, getting up there, starting to, at least, not aging, before you guys kill me, he's at least older than a rookie would be. But I would definitely make a call to the Jets to be like, how much for Breece Hall? And while you're at it, Jets, how much for Garrett Wilson? Can we get him for a song? And if so, let's talk. All right. I'm going to call this, guys, the 2-minute warning. We're at 53 minutes on this solo pod, and I do see the chat is starting to die down a little bit. So again, if you have any other comments, supers, questions, considerations, pushback, debate, fire it in, and I'll be sure to address it before I get out of here in a few minutes. But I just want to take one last look at the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Joe Mannix is saying, how about pastrami? Pastrami is good, but corned beef is better. Change my mind. Corned beef, greater than pastrami. All right. The best player is simply an opinion. I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that Bo Nix is the Broncos' best player. But if anyone has a difference of opinion, then that's fine too. Let's see. What else we got? What else we got? I agree. Ask the Bills about receivers. Joe says, yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. Rodney Garcia saying Justin Jefferson. Yeah. Something I put on Twitter. I put a picture of Jefferson and the caption was, it couldn't hurt to ask, Broncos. It couldn't hurt to pick up the phone. Just see maybe what JJ would cost, because if it's a first round pick, yeah, you got to take out his contract and it's not going to happen. There's like a 0.1% chance it happens, but you never know. But there's a lot of dead money. The Vikings aren't inclined to trade JJ, but they're taking out his contract. But if it's only a matter of draft picks, whatever they give up, any first round pick is not going to be as good as JJ would be. So yeah, I would be definitely picking up the phone. Call Dallas, see if CeeDee Lamb's available. Call Cincinnati to see if Jamar Chase is available. It can't hurt to ask. You're in the same position. If the worst they can say is no, then you're in the same exact position. So I like the way you're thinking there. Same thing. Yeah, thank you, Danny. Same thing for Jalen Waddle, who I was like pounding the table for Sean and George Payton to trade for at the deadline. It didn't happen. It cost too much. The Broncos weren't really in on those sweepstakes. But now all bets are off. And now they need to go all in because their plan did not work. The reason they didn't get Jalen Waddle or any other player at the deadline, they were happy with who they had at receiver. They were happy with who they already had. That didn't avail them at all. And the end result was your head coach complaining, rightly so, about all the drops that took place in the AFC Championship game. So I don't care. Yeah, check it on everyone. The worst they could say is no. The best thing they could say is yes, let's talk. Then you might have a deal. Oh, Breece Hall's a free agent. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, so even better. You don't have to give up draft picks for him. That's a guy who I'll put him in that bucket then. If we're exploring players with an injury-prone past, he's the top of my list because he's like a rich man's version of R.J. Harvey. He's R.J. Harvey if R.J. Harvey was a much better runner. So I would definitely be sniffing around, and he might take a 1-year prove-it deal and rehab his value that way. Rodney's saying $10 super. Thank you so much, Rodney. We're going to start to wind it down in a second here. We're approaching an hour. Way to hold it down, Zach. Who do you want to bring back in free agency? McMillan, Singleton, Sternad, JFM. Great question. Great question. Let me think about it for a second. Well, I'll separate it like this. I think the Broncos should sign Jaquan to a long-term contract. I've been saying that for months. And even George Payton talked about that in his press conference, that he's a restricted free agent, but they'll explore their options and handle that in-house. They need to extend Jaquan. He's earned it. He was arguably the best cornerback on the team for a large part of the season in 2025. So definitely bring him back. They'll tender him as an RFA, but I would give him a long-term deal. Singleton, this might be controversial. I will always respect the man that Singleton is for what he overcame, beating cancer, putting the Broncos first, his will to win, what he does for the locker room, the fan base. I think it's plainly clear, though, that he is a liability on defense. I think he's more of a net negative than a net positive, or even a net neutral. So I am letting Singleton walk and saying, listen, if you can't find anything after a few weeks on the open market, call us. Maybe we'll bring you back on a 1-year deal. But I am putting all my resources into upgrading on defense anyway. After they take care of offense, you got to do something at inside linebacker. And if that means even replacing both, if that means replacing Dre Greenlaw and Singleton, so be it. Because their linebacker is still a weakness. And I'll take it one step further. If you held a gun to my head and said, pick one, Singleton or Sternad to bring back, I'm bringing back Sternad. There's more upside. He's not so much of a liability. He doesn't have the injury history as Singleton. He's also good against the run like Singleton is. He's a little better in pass coverage. I would look to bring back Sternad on a cheap deal that doesn't preclude me from also upgrading it off at inside linebacker if I can find one. JFM, I would bring back, but it's not feasible. It's just not, and he knows too. He's been talking like that for months. He knows which way the wind is blowing. He knows he's not going to get a contract. If they were going to extend him, it would have happened already. But look what they did. They extended everyone else. They extended Benito and PS2 and Zach Allen. They extended Cooper. He's going to hit the open market, and I hope that JFM gets a bag elsewhere. He deserves it. But he's not coming back to Denver, barring the surprise. Barring a huge, huge surprise. Cool down? I don't want to cool down, man. I mean, I don't know if you mean like literally or figuratively. I am a little hot right now in this jacket with these lights pointed at me, but I need to cool down that way. But this is all passion, Joe. I don't know how long you've been around. If you've seen any other solo shows I've done, I love doing this. It's all passion, man. It's all good around here. It's all gravy. All right, and you're right. I'm going to wind it down now. We're at 59, but you're right. Can't pay everyone. Roy, that's why JFM walks. And Glenn, I agree with you. That's why Singleton walks and you keep Sternad and pick up a linebacker in the draft. Absolutely. That's the plan for me as well on defense, but not before they handle their offense. Not before they get a new running back, a new receiver, a new tight end. And like Deanna said earlier, some bulk along the offensive line. So I'm going to take one quick little perusal and see if I missed anything. I don't think I did, though. I see String Guy saying, Zach, the dragon breathing fire tonight. Hit the like button all for Zach. I appreciate that, Roger. Thank you so much, Raj. Yeah, again, we used to do these shows all the time. I had Kelberman's Corner. I used to have a co-host, and I used to do the same rants. We had Facebook Lives on 24/7 Sports back in the day, like Glenn used to watch. I ranted then too. I love ranting. It's just me. If you're in it for, slower talking, very passive, quiet, that's not me. That's not me off camera. Anyone that knows me can attest to that. And that's not me on camera, man. I love ranting. I love being passionate because I love the Broncos and I love talking with you guys. And I appreciate the support, Roy. And I appreciate the support, Todd. Thank you so much. If that was support. But that's going to do it, I think, for me tonight. We're at an hour now. Another tremendous episode, solo episode of the MHH podcast. If you guys aren't following us, be sure to do so on X at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account at Mile High Huddle. Myself at Kelberman NFL. Chad at Chad N. Jensen. Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com. Get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you haven't done so, please join our new Discord server. The link is in the description of the video below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. Guys, if you like what I do, if you like these solo shows, my passion, my rants, if you like Chad and I, Scott, everyone that does these things on a nightly basis, please, if you haven't done so right now, load up Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us a quick little 5-star review. It could be 5 words, 2 words. Just make sure you've done it if you haven't. It helps us out more than you can know. And above all else, please, 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 guys, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you, baby. Or I'll say it lower for Joe. Just like you, baby. No, I'm just messing with you, Joe. But that's going to do it for me. I appreciate all the support I see in the comments. I see from Pearl. I see from Glenn. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I know it was kind of a weird show. It's the first kind of off-season, real true off-season show. But I appreciate everyone sticking around with me tonight, bannering with me tonight. I love talking with you, ranting with you, as it were. It'll never get old. So thank you to everyone. I'm going to go through the, I don't have the stars pulled up again. So I'm going to give a quick shout out to the super chatters tonight. I see David McElrath, Sam Bam, Deanna, multiples from Deanna. Thank you so much, Deanna. Lawrence, Michaela, Brad, Taylor, multiples from Michaela as well. Thank you, Michaela, the Duchess, and also Rodney. Thank you to each and every one who super chatted. Thank you to each and every one who joined me tonight. All our commentators, all our supporters. Means the world to Chad and I. We are off until Sunday night. Chad will be back in the saddle with me. It'll be a little bit of a more normal show, except there's no game, no gut reaction, just another MHH podcast. But have a great Orange Crush. That's funny. I'm not going to highlight the comment, but that's funny, man. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We will see you Sunday. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.